Now, what if the next knock on the door is for your family? That is the fear some Somali families say they are feeling right now after Trump's deportation push. Now, voices from the Somali community, including leaders like Ilan Omar, are speaking out. But what is actually happening? And should Somali families in America be worried? So stay with me, because the answer is more complicated than most headlines make it seem.
We're also going to revoke the citizenship of any naturalized immigrant from Somalia or anywhere else who is convicted of defrauding our citizens. We're going to get them the hell out of here fast. And if you come to America to rob Americans, we're throwing you in jail and we're sending you back to the place from where you came. We're throwing you right in jail. You know, they came from a place with nothing, and they come here and they drive around in Mercedes-Benz. You know, the Mercedes-Benz dealers do well in that area of Minnesota. Can you believe it? They have nothing. They get welfare payments, and they have Mercedes-Benzes. It angers me so much, but we're going to straighten out our country. This was done under Biden and Obama, very much under Obama. It all started under Obama. And we just can't. We've got a great country. We're not going to screw it up. But this was one of the great scams ever. They have the same thing, Somali in Maine. Who would think? I never saw that happening. But in Maine, it's really crooked as hell, too. Think of that Ilan Omar. She lives in Somalia. They don't have a government. They don't have a military. They don't have police. They don't have anything. All they have is murder and robbing ships, bringing in ships, pirates. That's stopped. Same missile, ping. That's the end of them. It's amazing how that can stop corruption. Those missiles, they never miss, you know. The same one, exactly the same one. But think of it, she comes from a country with nothing, and she comes here and she tells us about our Constitution. I have a constitutional right to rip off the country. I guess she's a total scam artist. Anybody knows it. How do you let her get away with it? AOC +3. She was one of the three. They're all scammers. They're so bad for our country. They're so bad for our country.
Before we go further, this isn't political hype. This is about really families, really migration policy, and really uncertainty.
Hello everyone, Senator Omar Fateh here. I'm in the Cedar Riverside neighborhood, and I wanted to speak to you about what we've been seeing here in the Twin Cities area, as well as throughout the state of Minnesota. President Trump has the full force of the federal government targeting the Somali community. What we've been seeing is that our neighbors have been detained, at times even American citizens, and families have been torn apart. But I want to let you all know that it does not have to be this way, and that you do have rights, and I want to run them by you. First, when ICE or an ICE agent comes to your door, you have the right not to open and to request information. You can ask for a judicial warrant that's signed by a judge. If they have a judicial warrant, not an administrative warrant. We saw that play out earlier today in the F building, in the towers behind me, in which an ICE agent came saying that they had a warrant to search the premises. We had Representative Mahmoud Noor, who did a great job in speaking with them and saying that, well, not so fast. You need to have a judicial warrant and not an administrative warrant. And of course, they tried to play dumb and act like they didn't know the rules. But in the end, they left the scene. And so that's what's needed right now. We need people that know their rights. We're having a lot of the boots on the ground organizations do a lot of great work. Folks like MIRAC and CARE Minnesota and folks like that have been providing know your rights training, legal counseling and things like that. I'm going to provide a link in this caption for the link tree with a whole host of information about how you can get involved. I had a lot of folks reaching out asking how they can help best support their neighbors, and you can do so in a number of ways. Click on the link tree, get involved with those organizations. I know a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of folks have been forming group chats and on WhatsApp and Signal and things like that, letting folks know where ICE is and how to best support each other and things like that. So now is the time to get involved. In times like this, it's going to take an all hands on deck approach, and so please tap in.
And last night, the man that attacked me was specifically upset that Trump's order to deport Somalis was not yielding enough deportations of Somalis. So he wanted to come get the person he thought was protecting the Somalis. Well, we are protected by the Constitution. That's right. I'm sorry to tell you the truth.
When immigrant rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back!
Stand up, fight back!
What we heard about, what the president says, the entire community has heard about it. They really feel real disgusting that he's dividing us by Somalis, Mexicans, Asians, black, white, and that's not what America is about.
Where they are far from legal help, their families.
And I'm not scared, there's nothing to be scared of. There's a constitution in this country, and we have rights, and every single one of us has rights, and we're not scared. But we have some Somali communities that are very scared, that have been here, a couple of years.
We are not afraid of each other, and we are not afraid of Donald Trump.
Minnesota lawmakers are speaking up after President Trump announced that he is ending deportation protections for Somali immigrants in the state. President Trump made the announcement on Friday. He wrote on his Truth Social platform that he was terminating effectively immediately the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota. If ended, more than 700 Somalis in the U.S. would be impacted.
He will lose this fight in court, and we will show his effort to divide us only brings us closer together and make us stronger.
Minnesota has a long and rich history of welcoming refugees and immigrants. We must stand together and remain committed to this tradition.
Trump is coming after Somalis in Minnesota, terminating TPS protection and stating Minnesota is being terrorized by Somali gangs. Send them back home. Yeah. Governor of Minnesota, he fired back. Ilhan Omar fired back. Republicans cheering. What? What is this? Because there's only 700 Somalis that have TPS. Majority of Somalis, they're U.S. citizens. They're green card holders. They're refugees from the 90s. They have built communities, businesses, neighborhoods. What is he talking about? Why is he framing it like the whole Somali population depends on this TPS? This is called drama, theater, better headline. Yeah. So, what is the intention behind this drama? What's your thoughts behind this? Appreciate that.
You mean to tell me that you came all the way to America, claim asylum, get put in position, only to scam?
To grow. On Thursday, the Department of Justice filed a 9-count indictment against Usman Kamara, the 45-year-old now charged with wire fraud, bribery, and money laundering. Federal prosecutors say that he owned a small grocery store in North Minneapolis and claimed to be feeding 1,000 kids a day, 7 days a week during the pandemic.
I'm supposed to be having a civil war that's been going on since 1991. You came here for a better life, only to commit fraud.
Mr. Adao, can we ask you some questions?
Assad Adao did not want to talk outside St. Paul Federal Court.
How many vulnerable people did you leave sitting in a snowbank so you could line your own pockets?
But once inside, he admitted on the record that his company, Leo Human Services, ripped off taxpayers to the tune of $2.7 million while falsely claiming to help 250 people find housing.
I never understand it, how so many people come from other countries that are going through some of the craziest things only to come over here and grape the citizens, grape the system, grape the job market, not learn the language, be racist, and the government allows it.
Donald Trump posting on Truth Social that he will terminate the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota.
Well, not anymore.
And Donald Trump made it clear. If there's no other story in Minnesota, the President of the United States called Minnesotans garbage and a hellhole. These are doctors, these are teachers, these are entrepreneurs, these are children without any evidence whatsoever. And so I worry deeply about this. We're getting no communication. And I want to be clear. The folks they bring in here aren't the folks we normally work with. Our law enforcement, State Patrol, BCA, they have working relationships with people. These folks come in and do it and cause massive chaos. And then when Minnesotans step up and express their First Amendment rights, we have to send our people in, and they're confused on why St. Paul Police, Minneapolis Police State Patrol is showing up on this because we have no idea, and our responsibility is to make sure that they're safe. So I have to tell you, this is absolutely unprecedented. What I will tell you is it appears very little's being done. They bring these folks in from Texas or somewhere like that. I'm sure they're too cold to get out of their cars to harass people.
Do you regret your vote for President Trump?
We don't want them in our country. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Salman Fiki, he was at this July 2024 rally in St. Cloud, Minnesota. You can see him at this event with Minnesota Somali leaders giving their endorsement in November of last year. You posted on social media, I, Salman Fiki, am formally announcing that I'm ending all collaboration with the Republican Party.
It was very dehumanizing and is very unpresidential coming from the commander-in-chief of the United States to dehumanize and to dehumanize a whole entire community by calling them garbage.
Do you regret your vote for President Trump?
No, I don't regret my vote. I have conservative values, and I see politics through that lens.
So Trump just said that Somalians don't belong in America anymore. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Somali community in Minnesota has been falsely diagnosing children with autism to receive taxpayer handouts and taking advantage of the system. They then take those funds and they funnel it back home to Somalia, subsequently funding a terrorist organization known as Al-Shabaab. This new Medicaid system would cost taxpayers $2.6 million, at least that's what they said. The first year, 2020, was $3 million, 2021 was $20 million, and then just 3 years later, it quintupled to $100 million, and 2025 was on track to cost taxpayers $120 million for the year. 40% of Somalian households in Somalia receive remittances from, relatives, friends, family, whatever, in the United States, totaling the annual remittance to Somalia $1.7 billion, which is more than the Somalian government's budget. Here's how it works. The Minnesota taxpayers work hard. They have the job, they pay their taxes, they hope that in return for taking care of the system will take care of them in exchange. It doesn't, because the Somalians who are here are taking advantage. They're misdiagnosing children with autism and claiming to need more government assistance than they really do. They then take the money, the government assistance that they have stolen, the money that they have stolen from taxpayers, and they send it back to Somalia, where it is received by numerous groups, one of which happens to be an Al-Qaeda-backed terror group named Al-Shabaab. Who could have possibly guessed that people coming from a country with an IQ of 67 wouldn't actually contribute anything to society?
Trump has made migration enforcement a central message. Mass deportations, stricter border enforcement, tougher ICE actions. And these are now new talking points. But for Somali communities in America, these conversations feel especially personal. Why? Because many families came here fleeing war, instability, or political violence. Some are citizens, and some are permanent residents. Others may have temporary protection or unresolved immigration cases. There is uncertainty, and that is where fear grows. Imagine building a life for years, working, raising kids, buying a home, and then suddenly hearing political rhetorics that make you wonder, what is next? That fear alone is enough to shake communities. So Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has also weighed in, criticizing aggressive migration enforcement and its impact on immigrant communities. Supporters say she's giving voice to families who feel targeted, and critics say that immigration laws still need enforcement. And that is where these debates get intense. But here is what many people are missing out. Not every migration headline means immediate deportation. And not every policy announcement affects every migrant the same way. That distinction matters. Citizens cannot be deported. Green card holders have stronger protection, though certain legal situations can still create risk. Temporary status can be more vulnerable depending on policy changes. So when fear spreads online, context matters. And honestly, social media makes everything feel immediate. A viral clip, dramatic headline, political soundbite, and suddenly everyone feels like crisis is at the front door. But policy, law, and enforcement are rarely that simple. Still, the emotional response from Somali communities is real. Some feel unheard, some feel unfairly singled out, and others just want clarity. And clarity is exactly what is missing in moments like this. So is this fear justified? Or is social media amplifying uncertainty into panic? That is the question. So I want to hear from you. If you are part of the Somali communities or any migrant community, how are these conversations affecting you? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And if this breakdown helped you separate facts from fear, subscribe for more honest conversations like this. Thank you for watching to this end, and I will see you in the next video.